So I thought I'd do another quick video while I waited for my PC to boot up again. Update on the farm progress. I'm busy learning how to program these microcontrollers. I had a whole pile of sensors arrive today. This whole pile down here. I'm going to start working with that stuff. Maybe not tonight. Last night I was working on my web controller and I did something wrong. I'm now getting an error. It still seems to work, but rather ChatGPT did something wrong with the code. I don't know how to code these things. I'm just spending hours talking back and forth and getting what I need. So this is what I spend my evenings doing lately. Working out how to control these things. This is my ESP32 Node MCU module. That is my web controller. Over here is my pod controller. That's going to look after the actual plant itself, up to probably 10 plants, multitude of sensors. And then still to be unboxed is the other module, which is going to be the master controller. I'm putting together a modular system which allows me to expand, starting with one plant, hopefully not too expensive. I've invested quite a bit already just because I want to learn the technology, and also because I want to start scaling up straight away. The faster the better. So going for 3 controllers to do one little job, which in the long run allows me to just keep adding more and more and more, expanding faster and faster as I need to. If I had to have a individual device controlling individual plants, it would mean that anytime I want to change settings, I have to go find the device, sit and plug it in, reprogram, make a few changes. It's just too much effort. I mean, I could just write everything to an SD card and then just go change SD cards. Also too much effort. So I'm having a little web interface which is going to create configs for me, allow me to update configs just from my phone or from my laptop. And then that's going to be run off the web controller. The web controller will push all the config files to the master controller, and the master controller is what the little pod controllers are going to connect into to get the updated settings, report back and telemetry data. Master controllers will upload to possibly a central master controller, a share on my laptop, who knows. It's all going to be connected in Wi-Fi. So essentially, once a group of plants controlled by a pod controller, I can then configure. During the growing cycle, I can make changes and adjustments, just while watching TV, make a few changes to how the cabbages are growing or something. And then having it all report back means that I can put everything back to a central dashboard, which I'm still to learn how to create. That central dashboard is just what I'll watch. So anything turns red, go deal with it. If everything stays green, eat it later. I tend to forget to water plants. I tend to forget a lot of things. With no concept of time passing, I don't know my weeks from my days from my years. So this way is going to manage it all for me and allow me to have more than I need, I guess. If I can manage several hundred plants all growing continuously in successive farming methods, I could have a continuous supply of food all year round. Water would be a concern if mains water goes off. My rainwater harvesting provides me with about 2 weeks of water for general house use. Never mind also managing a garden. But that's prompting me to be a lot more efficient in the way that I water the plants, prevent evaporation and try and conserve water. More about that as I do it, I guess. For now, this is just an insight into how I'm putting it all together. Sitting in my colourful little office. This is my work office too. There's all my work set up behind me. That's all off now because it's night time. That's my personal setup, although I'm sharing a work screen. Sure they don't mind because I'm learning some valuable skills that will be great at work too. Additional programming languages, how to think outside the box, all that stuff works in their favour. There's my 3D printer that's going to be creating bits and pieces for me. that I built a few years back. It's fallen into disuse until this project came up, but then I had only built it for projects and for the odd design work. I've always been limited to what I can do by the fact that I don't have intellectual resources available, not in the form of browsing the internet, but in the form of professionals who can do particular tasks. And that task has generally been a programmer to program microcontrollers for me. The people I know are always, they're busy, they have their own lives, they don't have interest in the same projects as me, so it's not in their best interest to help. Farming out to professionals has always been prohibitively expensive. Now with the advent of AI, well, everything's possible. I've got subscription to ChatGPT, and I'm using that predominantly as my main source of information. Remember how to get to it. I have a singular conversation thread on this project with regards to actually developing what I'm doing, just so that I can keep everything in context and have a history of information. It's a bit of a pain in the slow internet connection, and sometimes chat goes offline, and then I'm pretty screwed. I haven't learned the programming language yet, but I am slowly picking it up. I mean, I've been doing this now, let's say I've had 3 sessions, totaling about 6 hours, 7 hours maybe, just on this. And I'm already starting to learn to understand how the code kind of reads. It's enabling me to find faults in what ChatGPT produces, and allows me to then give it back with suggested corrections, new ways of looking at it, and it then corrects the code and I get something that works. I've always heard that AI is going to take all the jobs, as the scared people say. But it's not that. It's the people that learn to use AI are going to be taking the jobs. I mean, what I'm doing here, I would normally hire a electronics engineer to sit and choose sensors, connect them up, figure all that nonsense out. Just growing up with what my dad worked on electronic projects, and yeah, you understand the basic concept of things, but without actual practical knowledge, you can't just take a bunch of things and stick them together. This way I've got a source of information which can explain it as I need it explained, so I can ask it questions about things, rather than an internet page which says, hey, do X, Y, Z, this is your principle, and you can't really fit it together. Or you have a problem and you can't figure it out. This allows me to go back and forth. So, I mean, just blocks and blocks of code, and let's say 50% of it I'm never going to use because it's wrong as areas, variations of what I want. It's using features that no longer exist, or features that don't exist to begin with. Chat's great at inventing things like that. You have to keep it in context, but we plod on. I'm just trying to find the start. This is all yesterday. This was just a massive hyper focus for an evening. Probably 3 hours of my total time that I've spent on this, and I put together, well, my preliminary unit. I started with the web controller, I built it, I got a web page. That was great. That was quick. Subsequent to that, I now have a index page. I can select my first page, which is to add a new device, which would be my little pod controller. You put the name in, and it stores it on a local file, and then the pod controller connects and looks for that file to get its name. It needs a basic template to start with, boots up, connects to the Wi-Fi, knows where to look, grabs the file, writes its new name, reboots, and says, hey, I'm so-and-so. That being said, I tried to advance it slightly and managed to break some of the code on the web controller. So tonight is troubleshooting that. That error doesn't seem to stop it working. Having said that, why don't I check quickly? So 192, where's my web? responding like it should. So maybe it's dead in the water and I have to reload the old code. We'll see. So yeah, web controller assigns the name, device fetches the name, reboots with its new name. Then to add the next one, I just add a new name, connect the device, it connects to the Wi-Fi, bang, grabs the name, it's done. So I can, that's the principle for scaling up faster, horizontal scaling, adding more units and scaling out, whatever lingo you want to use. But obviously each module has to be fully developed to perform a full function. It's really complex the way I'm doing it, just for monitoring a few clients to start with. But I'm thinking ahead. I'm designing for a large farm scenario versus having to restart from scratch on developing a whole new scaled up version. You know, to just get a pod controller working great for a set amount of variables, I'm sure I could have done that in a couple of hours. A couple of days. I don't actually know how long code takes. I'm just throwing information out and it comes back at me in the form of code. Brilliant. Doing it that way, I would have had, well, today my sensors are right, so tonight I would have been getting the first pod controller working, calibrating a few sensors, doing some testing over the next few days, stick in the ground, see what happens. Maybe it keeps the plant alive. Great. Then I get another couple of plants and I can reuse the same code and I can scale out that way. But the moment I need to make an adjustment for, oh gee, I got my soil moisture reading slightly wrong, let me recalibrate or make a change to be more efficient, I then have to go and flash a whole pile of pod controllers. By the way, they're called pod controllers because it's going to manage a little pod of vegetables. One controller, each vegetable will be a pod of sensors. As I add, there will be more pods up to 10. I'm not going to go more than that per controller. I can probably squeeze more in, maybe a dozen, maybe a few more. I don't really want to sacrifice processing power because I've used up too much of the memory or overloading the core system, because they're not really that powerful. Yes, they're dual processor and so on, but you know, for what I'm doing, they're great, and it's all within limits, roughly calculated. Then I'll have a master controller controlling, let's say, 10 pod controllers, so that I can distribute the information fairly quickly. And then the web controller will push out to probably a master controller, you know, Optimus Prime, and then that'll allow me to have multiple master controllers, which gives me massive amounts of pod controllers. So on a property my size, I've got 1,000 square meters of land. There's a house, storeroom, this little 3x3 meter windy house, the office. There's another one down the bottom of the garden, 2 water tanks, trees, you name it. Fire pit, bench, ornamental stuff, driveway, car. Not really much space. Not really much space to run a large scale farm. So if I'm just looking to be self-sustainable for just me, subsistence farming, then yeah, I've got plenty space. I can grow enough veg to keep me going all year round, I think. Winter might be a bit more tricky with water. I will be using other main supply for now until I can afford a borehole or look at rainwater harvesting in a more large-scale manner. You know, I live in a tiny wooden cabin. The roof catchment area is not that big. I've got 2 1,500 litre water tanks. Regular use, they last 2 weeks. That's not mindful use, that's just shower, wash things, pretend like I've got unlimited supply. To run a farm off that, not great. I want to be able to grow more than I need, because some of that will be recomposted, some of that will be bartered with neighbours for other vegetables, and then possibly even sell some. I'm not into selling vegetables. It's hard work, it takes all my time. I'd rather spend my time developing systems like this and improving what I have available to me. The money would be great to fund things like this, but I'm looking at possibly packaging these units and selling them. Hence me working on a large scale layout to begin with. The plan is to be able to switch to a cloud web server, and then I can ship these things all around the world, and people just plug them in, log into a portal, pick a name, boots up, off we go. Yeah, not that easy, but we're working on it. Could be that easy. Anyway, get back on the train of thought. So I want people to be able to be self-sufficient, and technology is out of the reach of a lot of the population, especially in this country. I would say what I'm doing is limited to easily 20 to 30% of the population being able to do this. I'm not able to do this by definition. I haven't studied any of this. I have a natural affinity for technology and technical things and logic and figuring shit out. But I'm not a programmer. I don't do electronics. I can wire a light bulb, I can change a plug, I can, the basics, absolute basics. And this is beyond a lot of people's reach. And it was beyond my reach. And I recently had to do a project at work. Forgive me jumping all over the place with my thoughts, that's how my brain works. Yay, ADHD! I did a project at work which was, well, we got a projects team involved, they specialised in that work. It was beyond my capabilities, I had no idea what it was, but I decided to take on a part of the project, and just figure it out, because AI was available and it gave me an opportunity to try, and if it didn't come right, the other guys were going to do that job anyway, but near the end of the project. So I was just doing it up front, and it enables cost saving for the company, so it saves a lot of money. It makes things a bit more efficient. It was a small piece of a bigger machine, but it's vital to the operation of that machine, if I can put it in an analogy like that. So there was importance on it, and there was a time frame, but it wasn't next day. So I got to, let's just say, play around with a new technology and a new tool, and I've learned so much about using that tool that I managed to succeed in that project. It wasn't efficient. I mean, the company wanted this graceful gazelle, I gave it this woolly mammoth, but it did the job. Did the job well, just not efficiently well. And it has been rewritten, and the guys did a fantastic job, and I really wish I thought of the way they'd done it, and I learned so much from that, and then seeing how they've made it better. It's brilliant. And I wouldn't have understood what they did if I hadn't jumped in at the beginning and worked with it. So applying that methodology, that concept, that mindset, that whatever you want to label it, I decided to take on a lot more things in my life. This was supposed to be a 2-minute video now, I'm usually babbling on, but this is me, enjoy. So it's allowed me to take on a lot more things in my own life, and a lot of those things are projects I've been wanting to do for many years, but the resources haven't been available, the money. I haven't been able to hire people to do what I need. I don't have the focus to sit and learn something I'm not that interested in. I love programming. I'm not that interested in doing it. It's great that I can read a bit of code and edit something and change a few variables and find an error and that kind of stuff. To me, that's cool. It gets me by. It gets me to do some cool things. Even at work I managed to do some really awesome things. But I now have a tool which gives that to me, which I never had before. And that's opened a lot of doors for those projects. And some of those projects are actually going to tie into this project. I was previously looking at developing a solar tracker, because the house is solar powered, and I only have a few panels, and I wouldn't mind a bit more efficiency, aimed at the sun all day long. So I went online looking for the solar trackers, and my gosh, they're fucking expensive. And they're not that complicated. I looked at them on the pictures and I'm like, a couple of axes on a pole, structural, okay, fine. Yeah, I could build that. I have a gecko in the corner of the room staring at me. Don't know if you can see him on the wall there. I hate those things, they shit everywhere. Anyway, back to my story. So, fuck what it was. Yeah, solar tracker. Look at design, I could probably build that. In fact, I could probably build it cheap. A lot cheaper than they sell. Because everyone's greedy. I know, you've got corporations need to make money. It is what it is. But I thought, why can't someone like me afford something like that? Now, I don't earn a great salary. I don't earn a bad salary, that's for sure. In the context of people I know, I don't earn a great salary at all. I scrape by the bills. But I've bought a beautiful little home in a little plot of land in the mountain, and it provides me the life I love. But it doesn't provide me the opportunity to have all these fantastic things. I would love to order in a set of solar trackers, have them installed, and yeah, you got more efficiency on my panels. And then I wouldn't mind, hey, I need this. Just click buy, it arrives, and great. I don't live a luxury life, and those would be luxury items in a domestic environment. But there's no reason why, with the world's information at your fingertips and all the resources you can think of, you can't have something like that. Unfortunately, have lived a life with ADHD. My mind is all over the place. I have learned so many skills. I'm not a master of any of them, but I can do anything I try. Now watch somebody do something physical and, okay, I can do that. It's fantastic. So I need a new electric gate. Okay, I just weld one up, get it galvanized, it's all ready to go. I haven't got around to finishing the project. I'll get there. I'll do it as part of this. I'm going to need the gate all automated and tied into this, why not? Things like that. I need something, I do it. Because, what's the worst that can happen? You can lose a finger on a power tool, but just stay away from the sharp edges, you'll be fine. Having learnt those skills, I can look at something and say, okay, cool, I could probably make something like that. And I did a bit of design work, and I've worked out a basic design of a simple solar tracker. I've even found nice little motors that can be used, university supplied, so they're super cheap. Everything's just super cheap around it, but super, super robust. You know how the good old days things were simple, but they were made so well? Just like that. And then, I needed controllers. Okay, you can buy these pre-set up little things, but then I need someone in electronics to make it work with the bigger equipment, and I don't understand that. And then I bought a Udemy course on electronics, which I don't have time to go learn about electronics for real. Come on. So I haven't done that. That got shelved. Other projects like that by the dozen, and all of them just sit there at the fantastic idea stage, because my imagination is incredible. It spins off into this massive supercomputer concept, and I'm like, I'm stuck with, I need a programmer, I need that part of it, everything above that level. The mechanical stuff down below, I can figure that shit out. That's not hard. I know people that can make things that's brilliant. But now that I can tie the two together, and I have access to the information I need in the way I need it, given to me at the rate I need it, with the option to change as I go and just follow how my mind goes, I'm now able to tie the two together, and I can now start to produce those things and continue those projects and hobbies and other things I want to do that are all part of the same bigger thing, i.e. my life. And I don't need other people to provide those resources, which is mind-blowing for me. So I can prototype things on the 3D printer. There's local places that can mold things, manufacture according to that. I can go have things milled out from my designs. I can make sure they work. I can now do the electronic side of anything with sensing and servo motors and actuators and all that shit. So all those little things I've always wanted to make for some purpose, they can now be made. But the reason why I'm choosing to go this route now, because it's the new hyperfocus and it's fun and the dopamine rush is incredible. It's also got me to rearrange my office and set up properly and start using my office the way I intended. Gosh, shit, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so this, yeah, the reason why I chose this now is, well, because of all the shit that's happening in the world, the cost of food is flying through the roof. I'm eating a lot more healthy anyway, and healthier foods are cheaper. I eat fresh vegetables. Who would have thunk it? Mainstream commercial outlets, no. Fucking expensive. The local farm shops in the area where I live, brilliant. But still, it's noticeable that it's getting expensive. And tonight the fuel prices go up by a ludicrous amount. Which means next month the food prices are going to be higher, even from the local grown stuff, because farming costs money. Diesel runs everything, and they're pushing the price up. I wish people would just start refining oil and start using that and make ethanol from sugarcane. We don't have a fossil fuel problem with the resources. Anyway, so with all those prices going up, the impending lockdown coming in the next month or 2 or 3 or 4, the dystopian 15-minute cities they're pushing on all around the world, the WEF trying to kill off 2/3 of the population or more, all that shit. It's just, I'm not going to put up with it. I'm going to choose a direction which gives me a bit more freedom when it comes to what I eat, how much I can eat, where I get my food from, what type of food I get. Beef is going to be a problem. I'm working on a plan. I know someone with a nice plot of land, they wouldn't mind a cow or two. I know a few other people, we're going to do a community thing. Why not? Local water supply, I have found a source of water just a few hundred meters from me, a kilometer or two. Distance, let's say about 1.5 km. Could measure on Google Earth now, actually. So I'm putting the systems in place to allow me to have the life I love, which is living on this beautiful natural piece of land, little farm-like residential neighborhood. And I want to keep it that way, indefinitely. And I don't want to have to go to the shops to go and get fresh produce. But I also don't want to have to wake up at 4 in the morning and go and plough fields and all that shit, and then go to the office by 8 and come back home by 6 in the evening, and then it's more ploughing and chickens and, oh no, just too much. I want to come home, push a few buttons, watch a series, read a book, do something like this. I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to spend my life working and sleeping, and there's nothing in between, and then I live for weekends, which is currently what I'm doing. I'm now sacrificing sleep because I need to go early tomorrow. I want to enjoy my life doing the things I do for the sake of just doing them. And by learning these skills and growing my own food in the most automated way possible, and possibly generating an income stream from that, and then learning other skills and producing the things I need to make my world around me a better place, I'm keen to do that. And that's what these videos are about. All under the project of the farm, the Sunday farming, because I thought I'd only have Sundays to work on it, but it seems to be the only day I can be in the garden itself, which is incredible, except that the wind blowing now, putting leaves everywhere. And the gardener didn't come today because the neighbour needed him more than I did, so we did a bit of an exchange there. I think I lost that on the deal. Well, we'll see. Thursday, my gardener should be back, so we'll see. Anyway, these videos are about learning new skills and hoping maybe if one other person sees these videos and learns a new skill from me, or a new mindset, or a new way of doing something, or a new way of thinking, or even if I just wake them up a bit to the world around them, well, then I'm doing it for the right reason. Also, I'm having fun just journaling this, because at some point I'm going to forget this shit and you need to remind myself. And with all the swearing, YouTube's probably not going to let me keep it on there for long. So anyway, next video coming soon.